Talk about my research proposal. The topic of my proposal is what affects student engagement in vocational and technical college in China. Background of my study. I used to be a teacher in vocational and technical college 3 years ago. I taught educational psychology and the Japanese language and culture. I began to think about student engagement this question born from my frustration with teaching experience in this school with my students. How can I improve the learning environment and outcomes? I believe that one approach was to get students more engaged, in other words, more involved in the course. Knowing about students' level of engagement might be useful when teachers work with individual students and design classroom experience. Purpose of my study. The first one is to find out factors which make influence on student engagement. And the second one is provide practical solutions to problems. And finally, I want to improve the learning environment and outcomes because I hope all my students enjoy learning and reach better academic achievement. Literature review in China. Professor Kong of East China Normal University paid attention to this issue. However, more articles were provided by Western researchers. Like Tyler pointed out, the time was a very important factor on task. And Pace in 1918 and 1982 pointing out the investment of time and effort. Austin in 1984 provided involvement. The definition of involvement, that was the amount of physical and psychological energy that students devote to the academic experience. Finally, the National Survey of Student Engagement is a very famous nationwide survey. And at first, the Indiana University Center for Post-Secondary Research conducted this kind of survey, but now recently the Chinese version of this kind of survey also applied into Chinese setting by Tsinghua University. There are so many definitions of engagement. I select something famous. The first one, some researchers pay attention to time and effort students devote to learning process. And then Newman in 1992 pay attention to students' psychological investment in and effort directed towards learning, understanding, or mastering knowledge, skills, or crafts that academic work is intended to promote. And some other researchers provided the definition of engagement that they thought engagement is a complex and multifaceted and construct which include 3 dimensions: behavioral, emotional, and cognitive. So my research also based on 3 dimensions. Behavioral refers to positive school conduct, and emotional refers to effective responses in interactions, and cognitive refers to thinking and understanding. I also will pay attention to other factors like a family, socioeconomic status, career expectation, academic achievement, and school curriculum and teaching quality. I will use SEI as my instrument. SAI is an assessment instrument with 33-item self-report survey provide researchers to measure significant 5 subsets of cognitive and psychological engagement, including teacher-student relationships, control and relevance of schoolwork, learning support from peers, future goals, enthusiasm, and learning support from families. About an interview, structured interview and in-depth interview will mainly focus on my students' previous education performance, personal learning history, family structure, and socioeconomic status, feelings toward teacher, college, and future occupation. Meanwhile, I will recruit participants in each of 3 majors: preschool education, civil engineering, and business in management. I will collect data from 200 students. Their ages range from 18 to 25 years. So, in other words, 200 copies of questionnaire will be distributed to those kind of students. Speaking of data analysis, and the first stage, IBM SPSS will be conducted for data analysis. But in the stage 2, the grounded theory will be applied to data coding and analysis, and Vivo will be considered as the main software tool. Data collection will experience 2 stages. The first stage is a broad way that the researcher will mainly observe the current phenomenon and apply student engagement instrument SEI to measure the reality in April this year. And the second stage will narratively focus on certain students and explore their background by interviewing. At this stage, 10 students from different majors, half female, half male students will be invited to join an in-depth interview in May this year. It's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time.